Hello and welcome back to another customizing video. Today I'm going to be making my OC, my scrunky balunky little squishy pie little Xotyl as a deer. So today I'm using a blank LPS space that I got online, which is much better than having to destroy a real LPS, but obviously I won't judge if you do. But since this is my first time, I was just thinking I'm not going to do anything crazy in terms of modifications. So I didn't add her horns. But yeah, I do all the painting anyway. So we start with our primer. I did something silly. I did Mod Podge mixed with Gesso. But realistically, I should have just used Mod Podge because the Gesso added a lot of, well, you call it impasto, but it's basically bumpy lumpies all over the thing, and it's not a smooth custom because of that, but I think it still works for the character. So yeah, this is the first pass of the primer, and then I let it dry for a bit and came back and did the second layer. Another thing I could definitely improve upon is to not use a brush to apply it, or even to use a brush and then smooth it out with a sponge or something, just so it's nice and smooth. Ideally I could use maybe spray paints or something, but that's a lot of work. And so yeah, we got onto the base color. This is a Citadel paint, nice and pigmented. I always recommend using, miniature paint for making stuff like this because it's there's a higher quantity of pigment in the paint as opposed to just regular acrylics. Obviously it's still possible with acrylics, but it takes a lot more layers, whereas this took one layer, but I was also kind of did a lot of this and that. But yeah, I was just speeding through the painting process because it took a while to get in between all the legs and stuff. You'll notice that quite a bit. The thing goes off camera. I also later just kind of edited out a lot where I didn't quite get the thing in frame. So this is all dry, and we start with our white layer and a very, very small brush. So yeah, at this point I'm just taking it straight from the tub because I do not have any other paints on the brush. I might mix it up, but later I use my palette. So yeah, the eyes in some ways are easy because you can follow the guide of the mold. In other ways are hard because you gotta follow the guide. I mean, you don't have to, but it can be a bit tricky to get the lines straight. As you'll notice, I keep going back and forth a lot. But yeah. So I went in for a second layer just so it's nice and opaque, because this is a layering color and not a base. So layers, in terms of Citadel paints, you obviously layer them in the name, but the base I used, it's very opaque and therefore didn't really need another layer. So we're getting started on the character's markings. So she has 3 stripes on top and 2 or 3 on the side. I mean, I haven't made an official reference for her deer form, therefore it's kind of iffy on the details. It's I'm not sure even what the details are, but I'm generally basing it off of the most recent drawing, which I would have showed at the start. And decided to add some white in the ears. It probably would have been more accurate with a pink, but I couldn't be bothered to mix any more paints because I wanted to keep things simple for this first custom. And we get on to adding some white for the underbelly. That's the other thing, it's not on the actual thing, it's not an actual straight up white, it's more of a very light turquoise, mint, aqua, whatever color her main color is, just lighter. But yeah, white was just the easiest thing to go for this time. And you'll notice, even though My hand's kind of steady. It's really not that great in terms of trying to actually be smooth when I'm painting. And yeah. Oh, and the other thing is it's very hard to get it even. Not only because it's hard to see both sides at once, but also there's a slight tilt in this one's head. Like one of the ears goes down a bit, and it's a bit extra hard on this model. But yeah, I try my best to make sure it's nice and even. And even if it isn't, it kind of matches the character. Woo. So I think this is the third layer on the eyes. And tried to even this up. I added another line and then another one after that, but later you'll see me painting over that because I didn't need the fourth one. It didn't quite look right in my head. And I think, yeah, that's the main issue with the LPS I had, was because the head is so big and I didn't have the horns on, so I had no idea what to put on the back of the head. I ended up settling with a pattern later on, but it was still just like, who knows. So we got some nice shiny paint, and we're mixing that in with a lovely base of a Evelyn Sunset. Must be a Warhammer thing. And yeah, I'm getting started on the hooves. Now, the hooves are tricky. If I thought just painting the base color was hard, oh man. Having to have the precision to try and keep it in line and going around the whole circle of each foot. Yeah, you'll see I made a mistake. And I did a bit off camera as well. But eventually got to something I was pretty happy with. Doing some painting in the hole. I didn't really cover that very well though. You can still kind of see the base in the little peg of the foot. And yeah, so had a nice good go at these hooves and had to get in between every single little crack and crevasse, and I made a mistake. So here we are covering it up. So I had extra paint on me, and I think that was the easiest part about using a base color instead of having to mix something for the base. And oh yes, this is the removing the thing on the back as well. Just didn't think it quite worked with the pattern. So yeah. Just applied it very sloppily, but you know. So here we have Screamer Pink, and I'll be mixing it in with the lovely color we had for the hooves and trying to get a nice kind of muted darker brown for the ears. So here we go. I got started on the ears with a lovely little brown. Dot-dee-dot-dee-dot-dee-dot. Just kind of had a really good go at it. Thankfully it was a very, you know, pigmented base color that I used, so I didn't have to really do very many layers. And here we started making some patterns. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. Like, it's something. It fills up space. I think thinking back, I probably could have even just tried painting on the horns at the back, which might be a good idea. If I don't decide to physically add in some horns. And you add some little round bits near the feets. The feetsies. And I had some more issues with this. I think I had too much paint on my brush and I ended up globbing it on the hooves quite a bit. Although to be fair, LPS are very small. So we're going to go over those again just to fix it up. And I think that's the great thing about painting and keeping your colors on a palette, is that you're able to just go back and get the color you used previously. I think especially with this particular custom, later you'll see, I tried putting some like soft pastels on it, but the color was not building up. I think the technique I used to apply just wasn't doing it. But thankfully, at least with the bulk of it, I was able to do this. Oh, here we go, eye time. So I decided to go with I think it's the bubbly characteristic kind of eye that LPS have. I'm not particularly deep in the LPS lore, but I just kind of picked a eye shape that best suited the character. Oh yes, maybe I can talk about Xotyl. So Xotyl is my funny, silly little OC. I'm writing a story about her and her cousin and the adventures they go on. But basically, she has amnesia. But her cousin knows a lot more than she's letting on, and she's just gotta try and figure out what on earth is happening. So yeah. Oh, made another mistake. But you know what? You always just paint over it. Work with it. Do whatever. I was about to say that's what I always say, but I've literally never said that before. And I think I added another layer on top of the black. Oh, yeah, so I added some eyeliner. Just stunning. Wow, gorgeous. Oh, yeah, another glub. Glubbed it on again. But that's okay, you know, we just work with it. It kind of looks like my art style anyway, so... oh well. So just kind of really refining the lovely details and trying to make it smooth. But even if it isn't, I'm not gonna cry about it, so... you know, first time. Maybe one day I might remake her, but for now, we're just gonna go with this little goober. Little gooby goober. Gooby goop 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 goop. And adding some, thankfully, thinner lines. I think at this point we're gonna get started on the snozzle. The first shape I made here, in my head, it was the right one, but it was not. I checked and she did not have that kind of teardrop shape. She actually just had the top of her little mouth, and then her snoz were brown. So here I am bringing it back in a bit. And fixed up a different mistake. And you know, making mistakes is part of art. It's just, you know, happy little accidents. Man, Bob Ross is great. He was so cool. May he rest in peace with this little squirrel. And here we go in the snoz. Snoz time. Yeah, half of this is just correcting that first shape I made. Oh boy. And then white on top. I didn't quite bother completely covering it with the blue because, is it blue? Green? Blue, green, aqua. I didn't bother completely covering it with the aqua because I knew I was going to put white on top. Or did I? Did I even know that? Did I even think about that? I just kind of... I didn't even have a reference open. I should have had a reference open. Why didn't I have a reference open? Remember kids, always have a reference of what you're making open. So you don't make silly little mistakes like I did. But even if you do make silly mistakes, you can just fix it. So here I had a go at trying to make a thin line for her smile. Hello, smile. Because I realized it wasn't quite clear what was going on. Oh, sorry. It's an intense focus moment. Just get the highlight in there. But yeah, I realized the smile wasn't quite clear, so I made that clearer. There was a bunch of off-camera stuff of fixing up colors. It's off-camera because I didn't line it up in the camera very well. Like this again. There's actually quite a bit near the end here I had to cut because I didn't get it in the frame. Okay, there we go. It's even enough. It's really not, but it's even enough. And back over some lines. Another thing, I have like not much patience when it comes to painting stuff, so when I'm waiting I just go to a different area and then my finger goes into the paint and smudges it and gets it on my hand, hence the paint on my... You can just slowly, progressively see more and more paint go on my hand during the whole thing. Yeah, that's a fun game. You know, go back and rewatch and see how much paint... Nah, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 parts. Oh, another go at the mouth. Let's be happier with that side. You can't see the... Oh, there we go. So yeah, I just kind of went with that. A little bit of correction. Yeah, I'm not sure why I corrected that side. It looks good either way for that one. It's just the left side. Alright, it's dry brushing time. So you wipe the excess of your brush onto a little towel. And you can use the brush to put on drier paint to only hit the tops of like where the highlights are. So I made some sparkly hooves. And it's really, you know, it's a small but quite effective, especially if you have quite a darker base. See, in the eyes it's not as clear, but it makes them hooves just that bit shinier. I had to correct a little bit here, just because the line got cut in by my badly done pupil. I'm not even sure if it made an improvement or not. And then I tried going for a thin line, which I mean that'll do. Oh yeah, that was my attempt at dry brushing. Literally nothing happened. Anyway, it's the matte varnish Liquitex time. Oh boy. So this is the final step. You just pop that all over the thing and we'll have a speed up of that. Sometimes I'm tempted to just like get a little cup full of it and just dip it in, but I know it's not gonna be, it's gonna look bad. And I'm gonna have way more excess and I have to put it all back in the bottle. And it's like, nah. But yeah, I went over the whole head first, and that was kind of touch dry by the time I started holding it, but also wasn't, so I left a fingerprint or two. But I was just so excited that I finally finished. Actually, I say finally, it literally only took like 3 hours to make. Oh, here we go. So we've got some high gloss varnish, Mod Podge, and I just kind of spread it across the eyes after. Did it after the varnish. And now we go on to the glamour shots. Wowie zowie. So incredible. So this was part of the house sitting customization series. I don't know if I should make this a habit or not. But until next time, bye!